How can you curate an inclusive and sensory-friendly salon so you can serve any guest who walks through your doors? Hi, I'm Kayla Swanson, and I am your host of the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. And hanging out with me today, once again, is Danielle Cherewyk. What's up, Danielle? How are you?
Hey, Kayla. Great to be back.
I love having you on the podcast. I brought Danielle on today because we were having a conversation about different topics that we could have. And I think today's topic is a really important one. I want to introduce you to an idea that you could either have in your salon or just some thoughts that you can have about being a more inclusive salon so that people with special needs or people who come in and have sensory, like even sensory needs, anybody who comes into your salon, that you could serve them to a big capacity or small capacity. So I brought Danielle on because she has a son who has autism. And she has a really cool story of how she made her salon more inclusive. So Danielle, I would love to tell me about your situation, how you even came to the decision that you were going to make your salon more inclusive.
Yeah, thanks, Kayla. I love this topic. I can't wait to dive into it with you. It's so special and near and dear. It kind of came by accident or just like by purpose, I guess is how I could say it. Like, it wasn't our intention. It just was like the way that, life grows and flows. And as you shared, I have a son who has autism. And, when we went through that diagnosis process with him, we didn't just know that was the case. We started looking for support in our lives. And I shared with you, we had a few upset visits. We had a dentist visit go wrong. And, it was no shade on the dentist. It just was like, this situation, you have a lot of expectations for how things are going to go or not going to go. And it was a really rough one. And, it was like situations like that we started seeking support in our lives. And here I'm in Canada, and we have a program for, which I think that they have these all over, but we joined an early intervention program with him when he was about 3 years old. It was like a early intervention preschool for kiddos who were like late talkers. My son mostly has a lot of fine and gross motor skills, so a lot of occupational therapy stuff. So that led to getting to meet a lot of people in that space. And it was a space that I didn't really know a lot of. I'm like poor into the salon industry. I know a lot about the salon industry space. And so I really had to start learning. And who I love learning from the most is other people who are on the spectrum, and just getting their perspectives and bringing them into my circle and hearing from them and what their struggles are. And so what was brought to me is that another really difficult experience for a lot of these kiddos is haircuts. It's scary. It's a sensory overload experience. And, we talk about so many ways to enhance that sensory experience to make it better for our guests, but that's not better for everybody. And so, they brought that to me. And a part of that program was that you had to do a few events every year with your kid so that as parents, we were learning how to support them at home too. It wasn't just like drop them off at this program and, let us fix them. It was like, how can we support it and become a community in helping these kiddos thrive? And so they had approached me, they being the program coordinators, and said, what do you think about doing a program in the salon space where parents can bring their kiddos who are on the spectrum and who are fearful from this program to have like a happy haircut experience? That's what we called it, happy haircuts at the headroom.
That's amazing. I love the series of events that lead up to that. And I think sometimes as you are owning your salon, sometimes like life does present you with reasons and experiences that kind of like give you a different flavor of like, hey, this could be an opportunity that you can do inside of your salon. Because, we serve a lot of people. I mean, you serve a lot of people in your salons. You're constantly people coming in there wanting to, get their hair cut and have that good experience. And I love the thought here of like, it can be a challenging experience if you have your child with special needs or somebody in your family, maybe yourself, maybe you have found yourself has your own like sensory like things that bother you about going to the salon. And so there's not a lot of salons out there, unless it's a specific salon, that this is the only thing they offer. But to be able to offer that inside of your salon, or even make certain changes so that can be, you could have a more inclusive salon so that you can serve those people or the family members of people you currently serve. They can bring their children into your salon. So Danielle, this is so cool. And I love that you took that and be like, you opened with open arms, like, let's do that. So what does that start to look like when you were making those changes? Because I know you were getting a lot of experience because you were taking the classes yourself. And so it probably was an easier experience. But for those listening, like what does it start to look like when you make like from big changes to little changes? How did you start to be more inclusive for your salon?
Yeah. A great question. Like And my team, when I presented them with this, like, okay, here's a partnership that we would really love to explore. As much as it felt good for them, and they were like, I want to just say yes, I'm also scared. Like, I don't want to give somebody a bad experience. Nobody in our industry wants. And so they're like, you're coming in saying that they're not going to like their experience. Like, how can we serve? What if we make it worse? What if we have a kid that's screaming and flailing and, we're wanting to, give them this service and they can't do it. And so we had to really define what that's going to look like and provide some training for our team. And thankfully through this program, we were able to partner with their school. So what we started with is we did a collaborative experience. And so we would bring our hairstylists. We would close the salon down for a few hours on a day where they fit with the program. So we found a couple days that fit. And our stylists would come in to do haircuts, but also so would the kids with their parents and with their EAs, which are their like support people within this program. So these are all people that the kiddos are feeling very comfortable with. And we started to set them up that way. More so for our stylists too, to have that support. So they're like, we had to set up like, what are the expectations? And first of all, and with a sensory haircut is it doesn't always result in a finished haircut. That's just a reality that like, we're not going to hold down a kid and cut their hair. We're not going to do that. We're not going to make a kid more afraid of this experience. It's a happy experience. And sometimes that means, they're leaving with a partial haircut. So some of the training that we provide is like, where do you start cutting the hair so that if they're leaving with a partial haircut, they don't just have like a, one spot cut. It's like starting from like going back and forth side to side so that we can keep it as even as possible in case we need to stop when it's partway through.
Wow.
And so
it's just those little details. Yeah.
Just those little details. And then like, we also invested in having like some sensory friendly things to engage kiddos. We really encourage iPads or things like that kiddo, like, especially from home, if it's more comfortable for them. And then we just made sure that the surrounding area was safe, because that's also like, if you have a kid that, flails or moves, I've seen kids like jump off the chair and like, there's hydraulics that are dangerous. We've got like all sorts of spaces. You never know what kiddos can climb up on. We've got a lot of sharp tools and we've got a lot of hot tools. So we had to, first set up the stylists, prepare our space, and then invite them in. And, it's kind of a trickle effect from that. And we've started to add a few other supports as that's grown. Like, what are the things that drive them nuts? Oftentimes, like the cape, they don't like having freedom from their hands. So we had a cape that was, allowed it to just sit over top of them. Because a lot of times it's the hair that's on them and different things. And we added weighted capes and weighted lap pillows. And so it's just like a few little things that can make that experience a little bit better for them. And now we ask parents to provide us as much information, or anybody, if it's an adult with sensory things, provide us as much information as you can to help us make you comfortable. Like, don't make us guess, because the one thing about the spectrum is if you know someone on the spectrum, you know one person on the spectrum. They're all different. So we could never begin to pretend like we know what's going to work for all of them. They're all different. And so you gotta communicate with us too, so we can help you.
Wow. That's such a powerful thing. And being able to I love the perspective that you're taking on it of like, what can we think about and what can we add in and to make this something a part of our salons? And if you think about it, it's not necessarily a big change. It's just thinking about what could happen and what could occur, and then being able to provide for those. And I love the weighted capes and the things of just having the education to know what are the right things to be able to provide that no matter who comes in, that we have different tools and different elements that can support them, that we can accomplish a full haircut, even down to, I love what you said of how do we not just work on one side, but get a haircut that no matter when, at what point they need to leave the salon, if it's not working out, then they still feel like they got it, they're not looking half cut, So did you, in your salon, did you change your whole salon into a safe environment? Did you have designated areas? What did that kind of look like?
Yeah. For those events, we did. We really tore it down and bare it. We don't have a lot of things around. We try and keep that pretty clean stations anyways. So those for those events, we would make the whole salon clean. And unfortunately, where I am, those programs were canceled due to funding.
Oh, no.
And so we don't have those events anymore, but we did create a private room. So we had like a wax room previously, and we transferred it now into a private room. And the private room, we can keep it a very safe space. And sometimes it's just being on your own. We had an upset dental visit. And, probably the most traumatizing thing for me was, I have a kiddo that's going through a traumatizing experience, who's making a big scene. Now I feel uncomfortable. They feel my energy. They're uncomfortable. The person who's dealing with them, they know that they're uncomfortable. It's awkward for everybody. And so when we can make that intimate experience private, it's really lovely for the parents. It's nice for the service provider. It's safe. Like, we can just be like, if they're screaming, they're going to scream. And if they just need a minute to scream, that's fine. If they can't get past that, we might need to reschedule you, and that's fine. Like, we're happy. Like, we have the space to do that. Like, this is zero judgment. We're going to do what that kiddo needs. But sometimes, like, I have a kid that sits like so straight and just screams the whole time. And I don't know what it is, but like sometimes that screaming is just, and that can be really disruptive for other guests too, who are paying for an experience. So the private room doesn't dull that always, but we can turn on the music a little bit and create it a bit. It's generally not like that. I don't want to scare anybody from having, but sometimes any kids cut can go that way. And so, it's just having that private space can relieve them from the expectations from the rest of the guests and stylists, even if they're not judging them, and even if they are really open to it, you still feel that pressure. Like, I don't know if I know you have kids. I don't know if you've ever had a kid like throw a tantrum in a grocery store. You're like, I am going to take you out of here, and just like, I don't know.
Yeah. And it is, if people are watching you, they're like, it is, you just feel the eyes, you feel the pressure, you feel the judgment, even if you're projecting onto yourself, you just feel like, man, what are they thinking? And then you can't show up well for your kid. Like, I know I've done that, like where my kid acts out and you're just like, oh no, now I'm overreacting because I'm embarrassed and I'm going through my own triggers of myself of like how I look to other people and not wanting to be embarrassed by that. And so I love like thinking of like, what creating an environment where one, it's not disrupting your other guests, and it's providing a big experience for the parent or the support person who comes in with that child to be able to get their hair cut, or even if it's a person, where even be able to allow that for an adult. I know there's lots of adults out there who like maybe they're high functioning, or maybe they're whatever it is, maybe they just have sensory things and whatever, but being able to be like, we offer this in terms of like what that even says about your mission and your culture and your salon and what you provide. It's like we talk a lot on the podcast about sticking to like what does your salon, what stands your salon apart, and what are you passionate about? What do you want people to know? And driving people to your salon that share in that passion, share in that mission. And like, I love, being in the host of this podcast. I love having conversations that are a little out of the box. I bring things to think about something that you may not think about otherwise, and to know that it's possible and what you can curate in your salon to stand apart and to offer services that the salon down the street doesn't offer, and to be able to stand for that, because that stuff matters. And we're moving into, being more inclusive all around, to be a salon that people feel comfortable and safe and confident going to. And I know there is the mindset of, what about my current guests? I don't want them to be uncomfortable. Well, then don't hard stop. No, then that's not an option for my salon, because there's things to do about that. You can soundproof a room. You can have a private room in the back. You can start to think differently of like, okay, we need to serve this. And that is a valid thought. Like, I don't disrupt their experience. Well, then instead of saying no or closing that thought down, of like being able to come up with solutions to be able to serve the people that you want to serve in your community. Because if you're seeing that a lot, like in your community, how cool would it be to be a salon that offers more inclusivity and people can have a safe place to bring their kids to, which I think is what's so magical about all of this is, there's being able to provide something that you can't easily just find, out there. I mean, I know in some places you probably can, there are people out there, but I think that's really cool, Danielle, that you have encompassed that. And I know you have an experience because you have your own son too, and you're like, how cool is it to provide that? But even if you didn't have that, and to be able to provide that in your salon for people out there. So what has that done? So when you brought this into your salon, how did you talk to your team about it? How did you get your team involved in the process? Like, what did that kind of look like?
Ready to transform your business and improve your salon's profitability? With Lonza's 3-in-1 technology and intermixable shades, your hair color inventory is streamlined with limitless creativity behind the chair. Click the link below to unveil the secret to salon success.
Are you ready to increase your retention and revenue and convert website traffic to clients? Then you're ready for Maya. Maya creates better business relationships by pairing the right clients with the right beauty professionals. Use promo code HPSA for your first 2 months free. Visit joinmaya.com to get started.
We're Forest, born on the salon floor and built for and by hair and beauty professionals like you. Forest is your marketing, your reporting, your reputation management. You need one easy-to-use system that does it all. Forest, together we grow.
Yeah, so we have a leadership team that we can talk to about. We generally will vet these ideas. So like I said, we had been approached with this Happy Haircuts program. And so that's what I had presented to them. Like, okay, we've been asked to do this. Who would be interested? Who wouldn't be? And we talked about that. And like I said, it's a really good feel-good project. And my team really adopted that well. And not everybody did. Some people were like, I'm high functioning. Like, I don't feel like my energy is the right fit for that. And that's okay too. Like you said, it's like, how do you start to adopt some of these things? And it's not maybe so viable for everybody just to have a private room. I get that. But we're starting to see like a rise of like silent appointments. And so I can have a silent appointment, me and you, but what about the guests beside me and around? Like, it can even just be the start of a conversation of like, this is the quiet time in the salon. We've talked about like promoting prime times, like when it's quieter in the salon, but maybe that quiet time could be something that's promoted as quiet time. This is when it's, not buzzing in the salon, or this is where you're going to have a little bit more space, both in energy and in proximity, in your salon companies. So my team, they were open to adjusting the space because some of them had to move their schedules around some of this, and that was okay. They were really happy to be a part of it. We always love to serve with the gifts that we have. That's something that I talk about with my team. Like, when we want to serve, like, how are we using our gifts to give back? And so this was a really good one.
What I was hearing you say is like so somebody approached you and then you were like, would you do this? And you're like, yeah, I think it's cool. You took it to your leadership team and you talked to your staff. Like, okay, what pros and cons this, guys? Like, what do you think would it be? How would it affect our culture? How would it affect our guests? And be able to have those open conversations. Like, we always highly recommend not just implementing something to your salon without thinking through what's possible. And, you as a salon owner, you don't always think about everything. And so having a leadership team or people who you can run the idea by and being like, hey, this is something I want to implement. This is what we're thinking. This is how we're going to do it. Like, I love how it's like, you don't all have to be do sensory haircuts, but who wants to be a part of it. So we can, your schedules are open to people who come into the salon. And thinking more big, like, okay, if this is going, we talk a lot about when you roll anything out like this or anything to that degree. Mm-hmm. Is it good for your guests? Is it good for your staff? Is it good for yourself? Is it good for your salon? And being able to making sure that you're covering all those bases with anything you roll out, because you can be passionate and maybe you're listening to this, you're like, man, I got to do this. But I would encourage you to, that I'm super glad that this is something that interests you, but also take it to your team and think it out and make sure that it's going to come in and serve you, because it is a great idea and it's a beautiful thing to be able to offer your salon. And I encourage everybody to put thought into it, but you also want to think it through in terms of how's it going to affect what you have. So just so that you can then think, what am I trying to say? Then so you can prevent those things. And so you can be like, okay, this might come up. Okay, well then I need to have those things. Or like, where's the room in location to, the rest of the salon, or what's the space or what's the schedule going to look like? And just think it through before you implement it. So then it's not a stressful thing. It doesn't come in, you're like, oh shoot, I made a mistake because I tried to do this thing and it's failing. Because when you think it through and you get your team involved and it becomes a passion project you guys do together, then you get your team's buy-in. And then people can opt out of it and be like, well, no, like that's cool. I'm okay with it, but I don't want to do any of those haircuts. That's not for me. I know Danielle, you and I were talking about before this. It's like, not every haircut is for everybody. Not everybody should do kids haircuts, like you had said before. And that's okay. And I think I love how you said, like, it's okay for your team to opt out of certain things that you choose to do in your salon within reason of like, okay, is this just something that we have added on, or is this like a whole culture thing for your salon, which I think is an important distinction when you are implementing something new into your salon. I had a question and I forgot it. So what has it been like for your community? Like, how has this served your community? How has this been like, what have you seen in like going through this and implementing these things into your salon? What have you seen the impact it's made on your community?
Our community has loved this program. It's probably like, it's just like something that when I see people talk about it online, it just lights me up, and like, it just is such a good feel good program. So now, like I said, we used to have like those closed events, and maybe we'll bring them back at some point. But at this point right now, like, we just have the individual services. And you know, what I'll see in our community is somebody will post like, I have a kid that's afraid of haircuts. I have a kid that had a bad experience. I've had a bad experience going, and we just see like this outport, like, have you heard about the sensory haircuts at the headroom? And the community supports them and lets them know that resource is available. And it's hard when you're going through all of these things that are new, that we didn't expect when we had babies. Like I always said, like, when I have kids, I won't have expectations of them. Like, they can be or do whatever they want, and I'll have no judgment. But I for sure had expectations that they would be able to talk, and that they would be able to walk, and that they would be able to function. Like, I don't think that had, like, I was very accepting, but like, there are things that when you have a kid who has special needs, no matter, what level on the spectrum, or anything, or just a fear of haircuts. Sometimes they're not on the spectrum. They're just so afraid. Maybe they had a bad experience. Maybe, maybe they're not trusting. It could be anything. It doesn't always come with a label, I guess. And so, what is it that we can, you're trying to navigate that, and what are the resources that you need, and what is it that we can provide for them? And so I see the community a lot connect us with people that need support in that area. Yeah. And to be able to just make one part of their day easier is so great.
Yeah, especially in a place where there's not necessarily a lot of places where, you can get, like, I mean, we all need our haircut. We all need, it's like it's a service that we want to be able to offer. We want our kids to get their haircuts no matter what. And you don't think, like, I know sometimes I don't think about how it could be hard, because it's like, I don't think about those things. And you realize the impact that you could have in your community when you provide a service that would make their life so much easier, if they had a safe place where they can bring their kids to have a service done that they really want to get done. Otherwise, they're doing it at home by themselves and alone, and just having that support of like, hey, I got you, like, in any way that I can support you, or I can help you, like, that level of impact on your community is huge. And then, like, then you're recommending your community's recommending your salon. And then it's going to, like, it's in itself, it's like now being able to make those decisions to be like, okay, I'm going to bring these things into my salon to stand out from the crowd. And then it's going to help your marketing. It's going to get people like, man, look at this cool thing the salon's doing. I want to support that too. I'm going to get my own haircut there. And it just can build on it. And I love the heart, Danielle, every time you're on the podcast, of the heart of like serving your community and serving your team and serving and getting into, like, you own your salon to serve. And it's really evident in how the decisions that you've made and how to grow your salon. And so it's like, even having that, like, how can you serve your community and build your mission to serve the people who walk through your doors, and having your salon, owning your salon for a bigger purpose than just getting haircuts and making a profit, which is a beautiful thing. And I definitely highly encourage doing those things. Like, you want to definitely do that, but it kind of changes the game. Like, it becomes easier to market. It becomes, I don't want to say easier, but it becomes, there's more ways to market, and there's more ways to post on social media, and there's more things. Like, it opens up when you come with okay, I'm going to serve my community, and like, what does my community want? And if you figure out what they want, then they're going to come through your doors because you're marketing to them based on what their needs are. But it requires being intentional by what is the needs of my community and how can I best serve those. So whether it's, having a sensory friendly salon, or what is it in your community, think about who are the people that you see around. What is your area like? Who's walking, down the street past your front windows, and who is out in your community, and how can you serve them? How can you become a place? Like, people want to come to a salon to feel pampered and be taken care of. And how can you continue to curate your own salon to be a space where people feel that they can come, and it's an easy place for them to belong and for them to be a part of something, because it's like, you're serving the community as well, which I think is super powerful. I love that you just shared all that, Danielle. So in all of this, like, what in a personal level, because I know this, and you have the connection to your, you have your own son, and this has been, so do you, on a personal level, how has this been for you in this whole experience?
Well, I think my favorite part about it for me, like, from a selfish perspective, is continuing to expand my network to to find resources for my own son,
Yeah.
or for people on my team, and just understanding more about people who are on the spectrum or who have sensory things. And I think we're seeing a lot of that. And like, especially in our industry, I think that's always been like, we are seeing like a lot of people get like an adult diagnosis because that wasn't available when, my generation were kids at the level that it is now. And so it's starting to just create so much space and resources for myself, for my own team, and for my own family. So that's from a personal level. It's a great to be a part of it. And like, for sure, from a business standpoint, I will say this is a profitable service. I would love to be able to offer these services for free. And we will in situations. We've done programs that are for free. We have done community outreach, but this is a paid service. When we book a sensory cut, our prices are based on time, like anything else. A sensory program is a premium service that we book an extra amount of time, and we're transparent about that. So that has been really great. The connection in the community, because a lot of times, a lot of these kiddos' parents are now becoming our clients as well. And so I will say, like, there has been a lot of benefits in our business and in my personal life from having this program. No doubt about it. It's a marketing sensation, like it goes viral. And that was never the intention, but I will be clear, there are benefits. And I think that people should know that, I always think, you said it, Kayla, like I always selfishly serve people because it has always come back tenfold for me. And I'm okay to say that. And I think it's okay too for salon owners. Like if you were doing good, that can open up good, more good for you and more good for your team. And so, I would say like the impact on the business by having those services has gone well beyond just offering some sensory haircuts, and community outreach.
Wow, man, I love that. Man, this is such a cool conversation. I love getting to have like out of the box conversations about things that like I get to get educated more on in myself. And so hopefully you got a lot out of this podcast as well. And I want to make sure as people are listening to this and maybe you're out there and you're listening and you're pumped up and you're like, man, I want to look into that. What would you direct people on of like, okay, I want to start incorporating sensory into my salon or anything, any degree. What would you recommend people begin? Like say they have nothing, where would they start?
Yeah. So I shared with you, we have an ebook. I hope you're okay.
Nice, that's right.
Chat about that.
Yes, please give away free things.
We did create an ebook for ourselves, but I share that openly with anybody who wants the resource that can talk about it. It's called Happy Haircuts, and it is a sensory book, and it has a ton of resources in it to get started with things. So it's going to talk a little bit about like what is a sensory haircut, and then it has kind of what can you expect from when you come to a sensory haircut. We go over like, we want to have a welcome, and you can use this as a checklist. So this is like, what can you expect as a consumer, but you could use this as a checklist in your salon for what you might want to put in place, like a welcoming and accepting environment. And that just goes with like making sure that your team knows, maybe not everybody's doing sensory haircuts, but they need to know that they're happening and what the standard needs to look like for those. We do have, some sensory tools in our company. Those include things like safe scissors. So like, it's like the safety scissors that they cut, but they only cut paper, but won't cut hair. We give those to kiddos, and we've got like fidgets, and we have some weighted lap pillows. So we do have a sensory bin of tools for our team to use. Wow. And then in that book is also what's called a social story. So that's probably a little bit more familiar for anybody that's on the spectrum or using that, but it's actually like a storybook for kids that goes through think like Berenstain Bears style, like what it's like to get a haircut. And it says like getting my haircut. And you can plug your own, I would encourage you to plug your own photos of your own salon so that those kids can start to see what it's going to be like. Because that's a lot. Like with my son, he's always like, okay, what time are we going to be there? What order? And then where are we going to stop? Or like, what are we doing? And he wants to know what's going to happen. And he'll ask over and over and over again. And so it gives them a lot of sense of control when they know exactly what those steps are going to be. So that social story goes through like some pictures of the salon. And it's just like, what is a haircut? Like, I get my hair cut when my hair is too long. There's a great YouTube video that's actually from Sesame Street too. It's not in that book, but you can Google a sensory haircut with Sesame Street. It's on YouTube, and it's just a quick little clip for kids that goes through like, I'm getting my hair cut. Like a Sesame Street character who's on the spectrum. So it goes through that. And then it goes, finally, it has a list of tips for parents for bringing their kids in for sensory haircuts. So some of those tips include, and you can share those with parents, because like I said, we couldn't begin to know how each child is going to react. I say child, but there's adults too now that we serve. But I think the focus right now is more on children. But we could never begin to, they're all different. And so you need to ask the parents, like, what has been your experience so far? What are things like that they really like, so that you can aid us in helping. And sometimes it's even just like, I need to know that they're into Pokemon. And if I start talking about Pokemon, it will distract them enough that it will buy the hairstylist that enough time to, you don't get that other side cut, so that we can leave with a great side. And parents need to know, like, we're not going to hold down your kid. You might leave without a haircut. They need to know some of those things too, so that everybody in this experience is safe.
Yeah, expectations are set, and like this is where it can be and communicate it clearly. Wow, that's incredible. What an incredible resource. If you want that resource, I'm putting a number in the description. I used to say the number, but if you're driving, I don't want you to write it down. But it's in the description of this podcast. Just text in happy to the number in the description when you are no longer driving, and we will send that over to you. Thank you so much, Danielle, for providing that. I think that's such a cool resource to get people started on what they can do and how they can incorporate in anything, to little degrees, to big degrees. And I mean, I think like if you have kids, I mean, maybe you're no kids salon, and that's okay too. But like, I know like my son, taking him to the haircut, he wants me to walk him through every single step of what's going to happen. And then he kind of gets there and he just freezes. He just sits and he gets his haircut, but he's just like, because like the buzzer on his head, and just be thinking about those things and having more conversations and just thinking of what can you, or maybe you get the resource and you look through it and see what can you implement in your salon in little ways to be like, hey, I can serve my community to this level for now. And then you start to build upon it, whatever that works for you. So what a cool conversation. If you need any support with any of that, you can always reach out to us at that same number. Just text us support, or just send me a text and just say, hey, I want to know more. I want to learn more. You're always welcome to reach out to us. We love, collecting people into our community that we can just love on and serve, and show you how you can be a more profitable salon and just implement more things in your salon that can help you just grow to the level that you maybe are stuck or haven't thought possible. Or mostly, my favorite thing about our academy is the community within it to come alongside you and support you, because sometimes being a business owner can feel quite lonely and you can get stuck. And so how cool is it to have hundreds of people who can come alongside you and support you in those times? So thank you so much, Danielle, for hanging out with us today. Always a blast having you on the podcast. And we'll see you next time on the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. Bye for now.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a review, and check us out at profitablesalon.com for more episodes, content, and to help you turn your salon into the business you've always dreamt of.